Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Beauty and the Beard Talk Show. So, today we have a very nice guest, an author, a lecturer, an entrepreneur with us in our midst today. We have the man, the legend. You will know him soon, why I refer to him as a legend, Mr. Novasep Seth. Welcome to our studio, sir. How are you doing? All the
Uh,
way from UK.
Thank you this evening. Thank you. I'm feeling very well, and
Okay.
I'm glad to be here with you this evening.
All right.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Mm.
So today we are going to be looking at, we have this, he came with these two wonderful books. So we are going to be talking about those books today in this session of ours. So basically, the book that Mr. Seth here wrote, it's about how to manage impulse buying and get your finances back on track. So I'm sure a lot of us have been facing challenges in terms of managing our finances, doing those impulse purchases. If these are new words, he's also going to explain what exactly is this and why you need to get yourself this book. So let's first off start with the title. It says How to Manage Impulse Buying and Get Your Finances Back on Track. My first question to you is what is impulse buying?
Well, impulse buying is when you buy things that you didn't plan.
Mhm,
A lot of times we go into any place, whether it's a supermarket or a kiosk, to buy, for instance, you go into a kiosk near your work, you
mhm,
buy a newspaper.
mhm, mhm,
When you leave the kiosk, you have got the newspaper that you intended to buy,
mhm,
you have got the sandwich that you have, and you have got biltong.
mhm,
Now, the sandwich and the biltong were not planned, but when you got there, you bought them. And
mhm,
often you will have a Mars bar
mhm,
because lots
mhm.
of times when you get to the till, next to the till, there are lots of small things that they put there
Oh
to
yeah, yeah. I've
entice
seen
you
that. I've seen that.
to
Yeah.
buy those things
Hmm.
that you have never planned. So
I'm
impulse
telling
buying
you.
is when at that point you buy
Hmm.
something that you didn't plan to buy when you got into the shop.
Hmm.
That's what
Hmm.
impulse buying is.
That's quite interesting.
Mm.
So, did you hear that? It's when you get into a shop, you originally intended to say, I'm going to go buy maybe a pack of sugar, but then you end up leaving with extra stuff. Is
Yeah, a
that
few.
what we are saying?
Yes, a few
Okay.
bags of groceries. You went to
Mm-hmm.
buy milk and sugar and coffee, and you
Mm-hmm.
come out with 3 bags of groceries, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things that you didn't plan to buy. And
Mm-hmm.
that means that the other things you have bought on impulse, it was not planned, unplanned buying,
Mm-hmm.
which is often a little bit painful to your pocket.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So this impulse buying, can it happen to anyone or it's only just a select few? Because somebody might be watching this video and be like, "Ah, man, that doesn't apply to me because maybe I'm for a certain income bracket. Maybe this is for the middle class or for the wealthy, something like that. Does it affect all of us?
Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Everybody generally goes. There are a couple of people who have mastered the art of buying only what they want, but that
Mm-hmm.
comes with discipline. The
Mm-hmm.
rest of us would often go, and we would invariably come out with a lot more than we planned. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, it doesn't matter what your income level is. This
Mm-hmm.
happens to people who have got a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and this happens to people who can barely afford to buy unnecessary things. Now,
Mm-hmm.
impulse buying is sometimes unnecessary, and
Mm-hmm.
yet everybody does it. So it's a very
Mm-hmm.
common problem, and it covers the
Mm-hmm.
whole breadth of the society.
That's quite interesting. That's quite interesting. Now that you're saying that it can happen to anybody. So we're also talking about all age groups here. So let me say, for example, because sometimes like I have two kids, there's these ladies that are selling like these junkies and knickknacks, sweets at the school.
Yes.
So sometimes, I've experienced that my own boys will
Mm.
come to me and say, Dad, or they'll ask their mother, can we have like $1 or $5 or something? Will that fall under the category of impulse buying? Because we do pack for them their lunches that they do
Yes.
go with to,
Yeah.
to the school, yet they are asking for
Mm.
extra because like just like the example where you mentioned that I'm in the shop and I
Mm.
see these snacks.
Mm.
So I've seen that with the boys. It's
Mm.
also a similar situation that when they immediately when they enter into the school,
Mm.
there is that snacks. Will that count as impulse purchase as well?
Absolutely, because think
Mm-hmm.
about it, when the child comes there, they don't know what they want to buy because
Uh-huh.
they have not decided beforehand that they are gonna buy knickknacks. So they
Mm-hmm.
come there and they
Mm-hmm.
sometimes say, I've got this much money.
Mm-hmm.
What can I buy with this money? Because
Mm-hmm.
that means that they haven't really decided what it is that they want to buy. And
Mm-hmm.
that actually is one of the examples. It's a small example
Mm-hmm.
that we often regard as harmless, but
Mm-hmm.
that is also impulse buying because lots of times when
Mm-hmm.
I'm in front of ShopRite, there are lots
Mm-hmm.
of people sitting there and
Mm-hmm.
selling all kinds
Mm-hmm.
of things.
Yes.
And invariably, if your children have got a few pennies, they'll
Mm-hmm.
go there,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know what they want to buy. So they are
Mm-hmm.
looking around. Sometimes they are looking around to say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
which one do I buy? Which one do I buy? And
Mm-hmm.
yet the thing is, sometimes you might have even packed a Mars bar in their lunchbox,
Yes.
but they might end up with a little Mars bar again
Exactly.
because they
Exactly.
have not planned it. So that actually counts as impulse
Mm-hmm.
buying.
That's quite interesting. So, parents out there that are watching this video, I know you have probably experienced this. So anyone can be victim of impulse buying.
Indeed.
So the book goes as far as telling us that we can get our finances back. So let's look at that. How does one leave this trap? Because this is basically a trap
Mm.
of impulse.
Yeah.
And how do we get our finances back
Mm.
on track?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First, let's explain what I mean by getting finances back on track.
Yes.
What impulse buying does is because it actually derails your planning that you have
Mm-mm.
made, normal planning that you have made for finances.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
your finances have gone off track, and
Mm-mm-mm.
now you have spent a little bit more than you should, and there is
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of chaos there that you
Mm-mm-mm.
have got to contain.
Yes, yes.
And now we have got to get back
Mm-hmm.
and say, hey, wait a minute. And remember, we are not saying stop impulse buying altogether.
Yes, yes.
We are saying reduce it, get it
Mm-hmm.
under control.
Mm-hmm.
And the way
Mm-hmm.
we do it is first, we
Mm-hmm.
decide what is it that we want to buy before we go to a shop. And
Mm-mm-mm.
it is very difficult for lots of us. But if you, for instance, have a list and you
Mm-hmm.
decide, I will only buy these things that I have on
Mm-hmm.
my list.
Mm-hmm.
I know lots of us find it difficult, but
Mm-mm-mm.
from time to time, if you are in supermarkets, you will see
Mm-hmm.
somebody walking around with the list.
Yes.
They probably add a few more things, but
Mm-hmm.
by just having a list and telling
Mm-hmm.
yourself, let me just buy these things.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you discipline yourself to
Mm-hmm.
have that list, the
Mm-hmm.
more it becomes common for
Mm-hmm.
you to go and buy what you want. Now,
Yes.
if you do that,
Mm-hmm.
then you start reducing
Mm-hmm.
unnecessary buying, and
Mm-hmm.
that means the finances that you have planned, the
Mm-hmm.
budgeting that you have planned
Mm-hmm.
comes back to what it should be, rather
Yes.
than finding yourself that you have spent a little bit more because they were unnecessary
Mm-hmm.
things that you have spent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why first just get a list
Mm-hmm.
and try to just buy that on the list. I have no doubt that it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be difficult,
Mm-hmm.
but it starts with the first attempt
Mm-hmm.
and trying it again the next time
Mm-hmm.
and trying it again the next time.
Mm-hmm.
But we are not saying stop impulse buying altogether. We
Mm-hmm.
are saying limit it, reduce it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Because I myself, like you mentioned, at first I used to go into supermarket, I didn't have like a clue of what am I going to buy there. I'm just, basically guessing that, okay, maybe I need rice, I need macaroni, I need spaghetti. But then after some time of, reflection, I eventually graduated to now creating a list. Now,
Absolutely.
before we go to a shop, we do an audit around the house to check what is it that we need in this house. Do we need relish? Because in the past, I would experience that you end up buying something that you already have at
Yeah.
the house,
Yeah.
and by the time you get home, you're like, why did we buy this item? But then when we created the list, it tells you exactly like, okay, this is missing, this you need to get, and honestly, that has helped in terms of like the financial management. So I can definitely attest to that.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those people that, I'm with my pen, I'm with my notepad, and usually we get a lot of like stares when we are doing that. We are like ticking things off. People might not say anything, but you can feel the stares. So I think it's because it's not a norm.
It's not a
Like
norm.
it's
Yeah.
a bit weird
Yes.
for some people to be taking a list. They'll be like, no, you just go in the shop and you just end up buying. Yeah. And the other thing that we also have decided to do is before we go out to the shop, to the supermarket, I always tell even my wife, like, let's eat before we go.
Yes.
Because in the past, I've noticed that if you go to the shop and you have not eaten breakfast, all these aromas of food and stuff, it hits you.
Yes.
So that, according to the definition, because I went through the book and I found it very interesting, and I was like, oh, I actually resonate with a lot of this, and I actually also learned a lot of stuff also in in the book as well, which I found very interesting, and I like the way that you also connected it also to the Christian mythology as well,
Mm.
because I know in most cases, especially for religious people, we like to connect everything
Mm.
to God, because if we are reading a book
Mm.
and there's no Christianity in it, you'll be asking question
Mm.
like, okay, I get this, but
Mm.
how does it count in terms of now my religious beliefs now?
Mm.
Yeah, because my church might say one thing,
Mm.
but now your book is saying another. So I like how you cover that. So for our Christian believers and readers out there, you are not left out. This book is for everyone from all walks of life. So please take us through that nice chapter where you talk about how a Christian can manage their finances.
Yeah. Now, the bottom line here
Mm.
is what the Bible tells us, that when we manage our finances,
Mm-hmm.
we are being wise.
Mm-hmm.
And here we have got the verse in Proverbs 4, verse 7.